Hello, everyone. Welcome to Calling Out with Susan Pinsky. I'm here today with my assistant, Dr. Drew, working my teleprompter. I am using my friends, some clairvoyant psychic mediums today, to look into the mind of an assassin of former President Donald J. Trump, who, by the way, missed. I have a million questions to ask that are not being answered by the traditional media or the government. Everybody has questions. Also, I'm bringing in a medical doctor, Dr. Kelly Victory, Chief of Disaster and Emergency Medicine at the Wellness Company. She's a board-certified trauma and emergency specialist with over 30 years of clinical experience. She served as CMO for Whole Health Management, delivering on-site health care services for Fortune 500 companies. She holds a BS from Duke University and her MD from the University of North Carolina, as well as Master's in Clinical Psychology, which is right up my alley today. I want to know more about the mind of the shooter. She is an alumnus of the National Preparedness Leadership Initiative from Harvard School of Public Health, and she has a new book, Toxic Shot, available on Amazon. You can follow her on X at Dr. Kelly Victory. Also, she will be paired up with a celebrated psychic medium, Andrew Anderson, with 17 years of experience and over 70,000 readings worldwide, is highly sought-after life coach, spiritual coach, and mentor. Andrew's journey into the spiritual realm took a profound turn after he experienced the other side during a coma. Maybe Kelly can tell us more about that, forever altering his perspective and deepening his connection to the spiritual world. Recognized as one of the top 10 psychics in Chicago, Andrew has collaborated with local and national authorities on various case files, as well as the investigation of paranormal sites. So if you want to get a reading, you can contact him at his website, psychicmediumreading.org. And after that, we're also bringing in, well, you can also find him on his Facebook page at Psychic Medium, Andrew Anderson. Sorry, Andrew, I almost skipped that. Okay, so after that, after the break, we're going to bring in
Well, I am going to assume that Dr. Drew tripped over the cable again, like what happened earlier. I'm not Susan Pinsky, so they will be back here in just a moment because their internet connection just vanished. So I'm guessing that's what's happening right here. I'm gonna go see if I can help them troubleshoot.
the internet.
And you're back.
Oh, I'm back. Okay, where did I get cut off, Caleb?
Did Drew trip over the cable?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. All right, now you can continue.
You did a pretty good job with the
why don't I go ahead and bring in a couple of the psychics right now?
Yeah, first I want to talk to Kelly. Kelly, let's bring Kelly on. I actually introduced Kelly. So
Here's Kelly.
welcome, Kelly.
Hi, nice to
Hi.
see you. Thanks for having
So-
me. This is a fun, different platform to be talking
I
on.
know. It's so different for you. Kelly is typically a host on Ask Dr. Drew, which I didn't mention in her bio, but she has been working with us on Ask Dr. Drew for a while, and she is so intelligent. She's a great medical doctor, and we all adore her. We also are very proud of her part on the wellness company board, and she's going to help us with the health of America one day at a time here. So anyways, I wanted to ask you if you've ever had a psychic reading in your life.
I have. Actually, I have. And I'm not doing one on the show today, but I have had them. I actually think I have a fairly deep spiritual understanding, and I believe that there are people who are connected to sort of whatever it is, the energy source of the universe in different ways, and who have a deeper understanding or a deeper connection. I think that there's an awful lot of fraud out there, and I think there are a lot of charlatans who probably piggyback on it, but I absolutely believe that there is such a thing as people who have very, very deep psychic connections, and there's proof of it. We have too many people. There's things that simply be coincident when people are able to come up with answers, and certainly in forensic psychology or forensic psychics, for example, who are very skilled at what they do. So yes, I have done it in the past. There are times when I say, I don't want to know. Ignorance is bliss. Don't
Right?
tell me what the heck is going. Maybe I just can't handle it right now.
Right.
But I have.
Yeah,
I have done it in the past.
And I did find a forensic psychic. He's Andrew Anderson. Drew, can you get my questions? So I'm using psychics over the years to get things solved that we can't see every day. No, that's the wrong one, honey bunny. Sorry, you guys have to listen to me. Questions. But anyways, after this horrible, egregious act of assassination attempt towards Trump, I saw that you put up a tweet, and we were wondering, who screwed up? Who let this guy get up on top of this building with a gun? That's it. And how? Who is he? He's 20 years old. He's got 2 phones, but nobody knows, where he came from or why he did this. Was somebody else behind it? Did somebody pay him? Who is this deceased shooter? Did he act alone? Why was the Secret Service or sheriff not covering the wide open rooftop? Is anyone in the government lying about the shooter and behind this effort? Why did the sheriff's department not see him? I mean, they had video of him pacing around. And then also, who was on top of the water tower? How did he miss? Was this an act of God or just luck? But there's also the thought that it was some divine intervention, or maybe it's the red mega hat. He just couldn't get the shot because of that hat. But anyways, this is a mentally ill man. You know a lot about the psychology of this stuff. I've done many shows about, these shootings and, why somebody does this, and maybe you can bring some light to that. But first, I'm going to bring in Andrew and see if he can sort of tell us what he's tapped into, because I did send him all these questions, and I've had people on the Restream, asking the same questions. We don't trust the government. We know they're never transparent. So we thought maybe we'd let a psychic give us a little bit of an insight. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, thanks for
Welcome.
having me. I'm really, really glad to be here. Nice to be. I love the topic too. We need more of these topics today, especially with the climate in the world, so people can get answers. Because if you're listening to one news channel versus the other, you're going to get different. Everybody knows that you're going to get different messages as to what happens. So, getting clarity like this is good, I think. So, I appreciate you having me here.
So
I tuned
first
into this
tell
guy
everybody.
immediately when this
Oh,
happened.
sorry. I was going to have you tell everybody that you had predicted that Trump was going to have an attempt at
Yes.
his life, and he
Yeah,
was not going to.
Yeah, I had an interview by the Chicago Tribune here, an on-camera interview years ago, and I actually predicted Trump was going to win. They gave him a 0% chance, but I also said in that I gave an account on his presidency, and one of the things I said was there would be a suicide attempt that wouldn't be successful. So I felt this coming. I also said he would be reelected. People thought I might have been off because of the last election, but yeah, it's a little different now. There is a lot more to this story. I felt it right off the bat, right when I saw it. And again, I feel like there's usually something more egregious behind the scenes than what people know or even believe. I don't feel like he was a sought out shooter by the Secret Service, but I do feel like they knew in advance that was a vulnerable place. And I feel like, I know this might sound weird, but it feels like it was left unguarded on purpose. I feel like there was some sort of a message or some sort of hint that there was something going to happen. I don't think they knew or knew who it was. Again, my opinion, my feeling. But I do feel like they got word of it. And I think that if it just feels like something behind the scenes it's not what it appears to be. I have a feeling they knew something and they didn't do anything about it. And I think he just missed an act of God, probably. God works in very mysterious ways. But I do feel like there's a lot more to the story than what we were told.
So Kelly, do you have any questions?
Can I jump in here, Susan? Can I jump in here, Susan?
Absolutely.
What I would say is that, you, Andrew, you and I are coming perhaps to the same conclusion, but from different avenues. It isn't a feeling from my perspective. One of the things that Susan didn't mention in my bio is that I am a mass casualty and trauma specialist. I've taught an active shooter preparedness and response course for years and have participated in hundreds of site security, site threat assessments as part of that coursework. There is no question on my mind that there's, quote, something else going on here. I do not believe for a minute that this 20-year-old kid acted alone. He was a disenfranchised kid who didn't have the capacity, I don't believe, to do what he did. And he certainly could not have gotten by what should have been the standard protocol layers of protection. You would have to believe in just an absolute, this would have to be incompetence of an Olympic level to believe that the CIA, FBI, Secret Service, and local law enforcement all failed to recognize these points of vulnerability. This is Security 101. Furthermore, at this point, there is no evidence that even a single shot was fired from Crooks's rifle. I suspect that the shot was actually fired by somebody on the Secret Service or CIA side. I think that Crooks was a pawn. They picked out, he mysteriously shows up in a commercial that was filmed by BlackRock back in 2023 at his high school. He is a kid who was, despite the photograph that they continue to show, which is of a kind of pimply-faced 16-year-old wearing a T-shirt with an American flag on it, he actually clearly was a kid who was somewhat confused in the process of, certainly it appeared perhaps transitioning, dressed as a female, and had posted some things on social media that would lead you to believe that he was in a confused state. So you and I are coming to the same conclusion. Mine is based on years and years of training. If nothing else, I'm a student of disaster. I'm a student of active shooter incidents in particular, and the profile of those people who perpetrate these kinds of things. And I believe that Crooks was actually a pawn. He was disposable by the people who actually perpetrated this attempted assassination.
Very interesting. Yeah, we've come to the same conclusion with different reasons
Abilities.
for it.
So Andrew, can you connect to this man in spirit? Do you have that ability?
I've been trying, and I can connect in a way that I can pick up on things about him. I don't think we're going to draw him to this table, so to speak. But I feel like I can connect to him absolutely.
And then there was a man who was shot, a fire chief, Corey Compatore. He was protecting his family in the event, and he's also on the other side. I don't know if anybody can connect with him, but I'm sorry, Susan, but usually when I work like that, I need like a family member or someone really connected to the person, especially in the firefighter. The other guy I can connect to. I've connected to other serial killers in the past and other things. And I understand that. That's usual protocol. And but it's a little too soon to bring in a family member and do that.
Yeah,
but also, the mental illness and this kid being used as a pawn and everything erased from his phone, and then the potential of somebody being on top of the water tower. Is that something that, is that what Kelly, is that what you look at? And Andrew, what can you follow with, your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think clearly, different from 43 years ago when Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, and certainly, 61 years ago when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and we had only the Zapruder film to rely on. In today's world, everybody and their brother has a cell phone. There's existing surveillance, with camera angles every which way from Sunday. And I think they underestimated the ability of the public to come forth with all of this data. So you have clearly not just a single or not just a couple people indicating that there appeared to be another shooter on the water tower. Certainly would have been my choice. Clearly, the highest level. And if you talk to anybody, the highest in that area would have been that water tower. Again, they are being very surreptitious or, quiet about the facts in this case. And you certainly, if you watched any of Kimberly Cheadle's just horrific grilling in front of Congress, she was unwilling to give answers to the questions like how many shell casings were found on the roof where the supposed shooter was. She knows the answer to the question. She simply wouldn't give it. She said that the FBI has told her, and the FBI has not released that information. My guess is that the number of shell casings on that roof is 0. I'm guessing he didn't shoot that he, being Crooks, didn't shoot a single round from that rifle. I think when you listen to the audio tapes, it makes it appears that the shots came from elsewhere and they occurred in that he was taken, said, very, very quickly thereafter. There are lots of suspicious people who are filmed in the audience. There's a woman sitting directly behind the president who's acting very strangely, videotaping when everyone else is hitting the dirt. She's actually just very calmly taking video. So I think what we will find out if we ever are able to get to the truth is that this was an inside job.
Yes,
just as I fully believe that the Bobby, Robert Kennedy and John F. Kennedy were inside jobs, and that's a hard thing for Americans to hear. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is simply the way the data are stacking up when you look at the facts, and without being supplied all of the facts, people will come up with their own. So the best thing that our government can spell this sort of a theory, if you want to claim that it's a conspiracy theory, is to provide us with the facts. Turn everything over. Be transparent, and stop with all of the kabuki theater that we're being exposed to.
Yeah. When I look into something psychically, I get a feeling, of course, I feel into it. What you're saying resonates very well with me. If you're off, it's off by very little margin. You're onto something, and I definitely, how deep this goes, I mean, it's anybody's guess, but I do believe they don't want Trump at all. And they've tried everything else, the courts, everything, and nothing's worked. So this was their last hope, actually.
It's very sad.
Now, we only have left.
My thought, somebody on Restream asked if somebody paid him to do it. My thought was, well, look and see if he has money in his bank account. He had 2 phones.
Yeah, that's easy to.
But how are they all wiped clean? Somebody must have done that on purpose. Like, nobody has a clean slate. You have to have people on the inside to do that.
I suspect that that Crooks was led to believe at the time that this was a training exercise. That this was, I'm guessing that the people, his handlers, whether they were CIA, FBI, or any combination of the above, led him to believe that this was a training session, and that he should show up with his rifle and the ladder and his rangefinder and go through the motions. And and they allowed him to get in place and all of that. I am guessing he was an unwitting pawn, that he was led to believe that he was part of a team, that he was led to believe he was on the inside. This is a kid who's clearly has some emotional issues. His parents were concerned about him. He desperately wanted to be on the rifle team at school, didn't make it. He had been identified, it would appear, at least back in 2023. I don't think that was just coincidence that he was featured in the commercial that was made by BlackRock back in 2023 at his school. So I'm guessing that he showed up to that site believing that this was a training thing to go through. He'd flown the drone over. They probably said, you tell us, where do you think's the best point? And they led him to believe he was really on the inside. He was part of this team and he was a valued member. They just left out the part where they were going to put a bullet in his head. The thing that I will agree with you upon, that is something that I cannot explain other than by my own personal deep faith, is this was an act of the fact that Donald Trump is still with us, I believe was the hand of God. I believe that it just wasn't his time. From the shooting perspective, when you do the 3D modeling and look at the trajectory of that bullet and look at the split second at which Donald Trump turned his head to look at the slides, that, from my perspective, was divine intervention. And I
sure
think
was.
that until it's your time, it's not your time.
Absolutely.
So,
Just
Andrew,
like when I was in my coma, that wasn't my time. What's that?
Can you look behind what Kelly has said based on her experience and
I like what Kelly
abilities?
said.
Oh, I know. She's amazing. But I want you to tell me when you were downloading all this stuff, what was coming to you and how it all correlates.
Well, it came to me that they knew something. They knew this. This was their chance. They had this plan from the beginning. I felt that they didn't know the kid, but maybe they did. I felt they knew something was possible here, and they left the place vulnerable. And they left that sloped roof, as they called it, unguarded. And then they show in another picture two snipers on a much more sloped roof, because I guess their excuse was they couldn't have somebody up there because the roof was sloped or something. I haven't heard much about this. I haven't really been following it. But as far as what I feel, there's definitely the CIA knew this. There's no way that they didn't have something to do with this, in my opinion.
So that's who you think was up on the water tower, and because they were pretty much able to get out fast if they were there. Nobody saw them, and if nobody saw them, the only people that were watching were the Secret Service.
There's a guy on the roof with a gun. Nobody did anything. The police just stood there. Right. It was really a strange thing.
But then there was a water tower that was far away that they could see a moving person up there, and it was like, who's that?
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard that.
Maybe that's where the shots were fired from. I mean, as Kelly mentioned it. So anything else that you can tell me that you psychically can see in this situation?
This was obviously a confused boy. I felt like he was bullied at some point, confused about his identity. I felt an evil attachment to him, an evil entity of some sort, kind of a friend of sorts, his imaginary friend, he called him. But it feels like it was something very evil that infiltrated him. And I see this a lot with mass murderers and mass shootings. A lot of them say they have voices. Maybe that's psychological, but I know that it's something else. Those evil and negative entities can attach to people and create things like this to get them to convince them that this is what they're supposed to be doing and it's their calling. This guy thought that this was his debut and he was going to be famous because of this, and he didn't get it. there was no other point in this man's life ever that he was going to be famous. He's infamous now, but so I guess this is why he chose this path. But that, I feel more he was guided by something evil, an outside entity, which if we're weak-minded.
Do you think there was drug abuse attached to it?
I'm not really feeling that. I feel like this guy had some psychological issues, obviously. I don't know if it's odd, but obviously to me. I don't really see drugs, though. I can't say it's not possible.
Okay.
But the guy seemed to be a loner, kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing, angry at the world, very silent, not a lot of friends. And again, I have not read anything about this guy, or I'm not up on him, but this is something I feel about.
Right. Okay, and is there anybody you want to call out in particular who set this up and who might be behind the whole thing?
You talking about a specific person? I
don't know. What did you feel? Like, you know, we're not going to name any names, you know, we have no proof, but what are your feelings?
I have a feeling that this goes to the highest point. I mean, it goes to the top. And I feel knowledge up there. And I feel like there was an okay to go through with it.
All right. Well, crazier things have happened. I mean, it seems like an inside job to me too. But I don't know anything about this. I don't have the training that Kelly does. And I also want to thank you for taking this leap of faith of coming on my show and talking about this openly. But it is such a pleasure to meet you. And we will have you back. I appreciate your time. Kelly and I are going to segue into what the pandemic did to our youth, and perhaps discuss more of the outcome of the egregious efforts of the government to shut us down and take our lives away and screw up the health of our kids. So, we're going to go into a health segment, sorry, Caleb cut him off. And also, I want to have a little, before we go to Calise Simone, we're going to do a little word from our sponsors. Kelly, you would like that. If Drew can set up the teleprompters, we'll be right back. So there's a hormone that lets you know you're full. It's called GLP-1. It coordinates digestion and the signals between your brain and your gut. So if you're trying to lose weight, here's a tip. Highly processed foods make you more hungry because they're digested quickly. But whole foods like Paleo Valley's grass-fed meat products and gelatin have been shown to help you cut back. Autumn Smith, the CEO, who's absolutely adorable, says she uses the bone broth in the waning hours of her intermittent fasting, which I do every day. She says it's okay to do that because it helps her not overeat when she sits down for a meal. Paleo Valley's grass-fed and finished bone broth and chocolate, vanilla, and plain help you eat less. And you can also do the meat sticks. Get yours today at drdrew.com/paleovalley for 15% off your first order. Or make sure you don't run out. Subscribe to save 20%. That's drdrew.com/paleovalley. I have the chocolate bone broth in my coffee every day. Okay, so also I want a big shout out to the Wellness Company because, as I said earlier, Dr. Kelly Victory is a Chief of Disaster and Emergency Specialist, alongside my wonderful husband, Dr. Drew, is the Chief Patient Officer. And they both endorse this product line. They have lots of great supplements, but Drew says TWC helps us to be rationally ready for whatever scary health situation you might find yourself in. Many Americans agree and have already ordered one or more of the Wellness Company's emergency medical kits. There are 4 different ones, and each for a different situation you may encounter. The emergency kit, travel emergency kit, contagion kit, first aid kit, all prescribed by a doctor to have on hand. Get access to ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, Tamiflu, and the EpiPen, which is a Dr. Kelly request. For 10% off all orders at the Wellness Company, go to drdrew.com/TWC. And Kelly, thank you for becoming an addition to the Wellness Company. I heard you're doing a great job. So, and can you tell somebody a little bit about the kit that you put together?
Yeah, we have a number of kits, as you just implied, Susan, and all of them. Drew and I have had deep conversations about this. If you had asked me 3 years ago if I thought it was a good idea to allow Americans to access a bunch of medications ahead of time and just have them on hand, I would have said that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Now I've done a 180 because of what we've lived through during this pandemic, and I said, you're crazy not to have this on hand, because what happened to us during the pandemic was an unprecedented intrusion of big pharma, pharmacies, the government into the sacrosanct relationship between patients and physicians. And all of a sudden, patients found themselves at the mercy of the system, not able to get in to see a doctor, not able to get into the ER, or God forbid, getting a prescription from a doctor like me.
It's true.
For something like ivermectin, and having the pharmacist say, no, I won't fill it, or having the hospital say, no, we won't allow it. So I would say at this point, we have put together, and it's Drew and myself and Dr. Peter McCullough, Thorpe, people who were truly titans during the COVID pandemic, have said, here's a group of medications broadly applicable, some antiviral medications, antibiotics, some steroids, things for anaphylaxis, medications to treat nausea and diarrhea, the things you might need if you were traveling or if you were not able to get to a pharmacy. Things that would be good to have on hand if, God forbid, we have another legitimate pandemic of some sort and there's a difficulty getting medications. So I am not preaching fear. I'm not fear-mongering at all. I am preaching what Drew and I have called rational readiness, meaning to look at what we've experienced for the last 4 years and say, I'm not willing to put myself in that position again. And the wellness company has made available a broad group of kits. There are 5 different kits now. Each one contains a little bit different combination of medications. They've got long shelf lives. We allow people to refill the prescriptions. If you end up using one of the medications in the kit, you don't need to buy an entire new kit. You can go back to the wellness company and refill a single prescription, for example. So we've made it as easy as possible for people to be ready, to be prepared, and to not be beholden to the healthcare system in the time of crisis.
Amen. Well, she said it, everybody. Now, we're going to bring on Calise Simone. She's been a friend of mine for a long time and is an amazing clairvoyant psychic medium. So I'm hoping that our callers that will be getting a reading will be coming in. But hello, Calise. How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. Hi. Thanks for having me on the show.
So I would like you to meet Kelly, and I'd like to talk about the pandemic and how it's affected our youth, our lives, and how, we can move forward and, make a better tomorrow and not believe all the hype or misleading information that we've been given over the years by the government. But Kelly has been working on this subject with me for a long time on Ask Dr. Drew, and we've interviewed, hundreds of great doctors and experts, and we're still finding that we're all still dealing with the aftermath of that. And I know you wanted to talk about Ozempic in the future, but first I wanted to see if we could touch a little on COVID-19 stuff, because you were in New York during the pandemic. You got to see what was going on. And it was terrifying.
Yeah, I think terrifying is an understatement of the reality of what we experienced being in Manhattan at the time that COVID was raging. I was fortunate enough to get out of there, I think, probably 10 days into the height of the pandemic. I was booked for an event in a different country, and I, for some reason, spiritual intervention, took my flight a little early. And as I landed, the lockdown was announced in New York. So those, I'd say 10 to 14 days preceding that famous New York lockdown was pretty hair-raising. Everyone was on edge. Quite a lot of people had already come down with it. And, you know, the way people were talking about it, because there was so little information available, was just that there's a pneumonia going around. People are going into hospital. Take your vitamin C. You know, like there was really no approach that we had on hand other than just be scared. Like that was kind of the general message in society was things are going to get bad, be scared. A lot of people weren't taking it seriously. And there were, I would say, a very small percentage who were, and the ones that were got ready, and the ones that weren't got ill. I would say probably about 95% of the people I know got that first round of COVID. And if they're not emotionally scarred, they're physically scarred from long COVID. And many of them passed away as well, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But
it's been tough.
I look at the way that it affected our youth. You know, Kelly and Drew have talked about this a lot, the effect it had on shutting down schools, shutting down businesses, maybe it created the mind of an assassin. You know, I'm just wondering how many more, people we're going to have like that out in the universe that have been traumatized. They were locked in their homes for 2 or 3 years, and, they became isolated and or maybe did too many drugs, or, we're dealing with the aftermath of that, I think. But Kelly, how do you feel about that?
Well, I can tell you for certain that that were harmed during this pandemic debacle, perhaps the worst harms were perpetrated on children. From the very beginning, that they were never at any significant risk of it itself, and there was absolutely no reason to have ever shut down schools in the first place, let alone shut down playgrounds or force children to wear masks, or God forbid, foisted an untested mRNA injection upon them. There's also no question that being locked in your home, isolated from your peers, not allowed to participate in sports or do the usual kid outlets, I think perpetrated tremendous mental health harms on people. We know that there was an unprecedented increase in substance abuse, depression, suicidal ideology. And I don't think for a minute that the huge epidemic we are seeing right now in gender confusion and transgenderism, that was also fomented, I believe, in large part by the trauma of being locked at home with nothing to do but the internet for the better part of 2 years. Adolescence is already a time that is fraught with trouble. It's a hormonally raging period of time, and most people, if given the opportunity, would not choose to relive their adolescence. It wasn't great for the vast majority of people. Add COVID, a lockdown, as I said, isolation from people, and you take a group of individuals who might otherwise be socially awkward or socially disenfranchised, and you put that on steroids. I have no idea if this particular kid, Crooks, was one of the people who was psychologically harmed by the effect of the lockdowns and everything that went along with it, but we certainly have done that. And it's going to take decades, from my perspective as a psychologist, to unwind the harms that were done. We have an entire generation who were toddlers at the time pandemic, who went for 2+ years seeing pretty much everyone around them faceless with a mask covering them. Children learn to speak by mimicking mouth movements. Children learn to interact socially by understanding and learning how to interpret nonverbal cues. In other words, facial expressions and things of that sort. We have an entire generation of kids.
A mother and a child have to have that interaction. It causes attachment
100%.
problems. So, yeah. So, like,
correct. And so, if
a lot of people.
I go to the grocery store, and you talk of the toddler sitting in the basket. First of all, the mother screeching, 6 feet apart, get away. The toddler
Right, and the
is
anxiety.
The toddlers hear this and say, apparently other people are scary. I should, of others. I mean, this is, we don't know. This was a psychological experiment, the likes of which we have never seen as a scientific community.
Yes.
And it's going
terrible.
to take, from my decades to unwind. Decades.
So Calise, the outcome of this, like you're a psychic medium. What do you predict that we're going to be up against because of this? Like, how is this going to change our world? I mean, I think that if you have attachment problems, there are going to be more addicts that come out of that. There's going to be more, people. I mean, just from a psychological view, but from a psychic view, what do you feel?
Well, from a mental health perspective, it does make sense that any form of trauma is going to compound anything that you're experiencing. So whether it's a war, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's your parents getting divorced or just the introduction of social media into your life, there's going to be things that compound that as you go through adolescence and as you grow and change as an individual. What I do think is important to acknowledge is that there are so many things that are changing and so many things that have changed over the past 5 years since that time that it's a little difficult to really pinpoint and say the lockdown was the reason that people are struggling. I do think it's part of the reason we lived through a pandemic, but I think it's important to also acknowledge how much social media is going on, how much even just like fast fashion has increased and AI has increased the pace at which we live. And all of those things do add stress to an already stressful environment. And I do feel that all of those things change the way we are wired neurologically. And I feel in the future, we will be intelligent in different ways to what we are today. But I do feel that if people don't start making, and I don't actually feel a lot of people will, but if they don't start making the changes necessary to balance out that fast-paced change in the environment, if they don't start learning to meditate and do things that calm them down and reconnect to nature, that they will start to experience very high levels of anxiety, which in turn does drive people into addictive behaviors. So many more people are vaping than before. I know my generation, we were getting away from smoking, but we didn't really have anything to claw onto in the way the younger generations have now. So I feel there was a bit of a gap there. And, I'm quite lucky to have grown up in the gap. But I do feel that if you don't make those changes now and learn to get into a spiritual state, what we call a state of channel, a state of being present, you're going to suffer regardless.
Or some faith in God, for sure. It's
faith, yeah.
But also,
it doesn't matter what religion. It doesn't matter if you're religious or spiritual.
Yeah, and we are on a fast pace. This AI thing is taking over our life. Everything you say on the internet, do on the internet, goes up into the cloud. It's all regurgitated. Yeah. It's all coming back, and transhumanism is a thing. It's coming for our future if we're not too careful. But I feel like people give up at a certain point and they just follow like sheeple. It's like we're all just going to believe whatever the government tells us and do whatever they want us to do. And you're crushing the souls of these kids, and they're just going to be aimless followers, and have a lot of addictions. They're going to get into porn more often. They're going to want to transform their bodies and change, and they think that's the cool thing to do because it feels good, But the mental health issues that have come out of this is just so dramatic. And Kelly and Drew, they predict it all the time. So, but so anyways, I think that finding, a higher power and some kind of committing to being outside your phone a little bit is a good thing. And also reaching out to other people and making sure that you're connected to other people on a regular basis, because that's something that's really important.
I'd like to add one more thing though, which I think is not going to be a popular opinion on this show, but it needs to be said. I feel kids have wanted to dress up as the opposite sex for as long as we've been alive. Cross-dressing, transgender, that's not a new thing. The focus on it is a new thing. I don't feel that that's something, and again, this is a psychic. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a politician. I'm not a reporter. But I do feel that, if someone gets pleasure out of putting on a skirt when society says you should wear a pair of pants, psychically, I don't feel that's the issue.
There's nothing wrong with that.
About. I feel there are so many other more important things out there to be focusing on at this time.
I'm friends with a trans person who I had on the show recently, and she's perfectly fine with her transformation. It was a good choice. But she did therapy for years. She didn't have any surgeries. She's very happy, and it's good for people who believe. I just think that it's starting a little bit young. Okay, if they want to get dressed up, fine. If they want to walk in mommy's shoes,
Can I
fine.
jump in?
If they want to.
Can I jump in
go
here
ahead.
too? I'd love to jump in here because I think we're conflating two things. Calise, I respect completely what you're saying. People have wanted up of time that's part of childhood, relying on different identities. The difference is when you believe it is reality. When I was 3 years old, I announced to my mother that I was a mermaid, but fortunately, she made me get out of the bathtub anyway. She said, "Yeah, that's cute. Now get dressed. You're going to bed." So the reason I'm making this segue because I think they are related, and I'm going to date myself here. The premise of the show, if anyone is like me is old enough to remember it, the Twilight Zone, was that you are not reality as you understand it to be isn't real. It isn't what you see before you isn't real. And it was terrifying, but that was the premise of the show. Everything that is happening right now, we are living in the Twilight Zone. AI does it. Social media does it. You don't know what is real and what isn't. I've never been on Facebook in my life. I call it fake book because it's not real. The photos that your friends are posting of their beautiful lunch and their beautiful family and their beautiful vacation and their beautiful job, who knows if it's real? What you are hearing from our government, who knows what's real? We don't even know if the guy parading as Joe Biden right now is actually Joe Biden or if it's somebody with a mask. We don't know what's real. We are living in the Twilight Zone. And the issue for me with the transgender side of things is it's one thing to dress up and play at it. It's something else to believe that the new reality is that you are actually the other sex, or you are actually a cat, or a whatever it is you think, a tree, whatever it is you've decided that you, quote, identify as. Reality is not fungible. Reality has got to be concrete. Guys, we are living in the Twilight Zone. Nothing is real. You cannot count on anything. And what resonates with me about one of the things you said, Calise, is that grounding, the idea of putting down the things that aren't real, the things that are shoving, confusing messages in your face, whether it's your iPhone or your friends or social media, whatever it is. Walking on the ground, there's a reason we call it grounding, because it is real. It puts you back in control, back in physical contact with that is immutable, the earth, something that is very solid and stable. It allows you to reset actual reality and learn to trust your eyes again. People are being just lambasted. Every day we are being just pummeled with things that are reality. You believe them, you buy into them, they affect us. We have a group of people, our society is more lonely, more depressed, more insomniac, more drug dependent than ever before at a time when we supposedly have all of this social connectivity. Because the social connectivity is fake. It is a false substitute for real connectivity. And until we get our arms around that, and until we start exploding the idea that false reality is what's killing us, we are going to be living in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Kelly. And I often say to my friends and even my family, why are we in the Twilight Zone, And that exact phrase is the exact phrase that I use a lot. I think it's really interesting, Cher, the singer, she talks about how fame is smoke and mirrors, but now that we all have access to a little bit of fame in our pocket through social media or, through the internet, we're all living through smoke and mirrors. And then it gets to the point where I do think as we move forward over the next few decades, people are going to really have to learn to trust themselves, to use their intuition to navigate every day. And so, it comes back to what we were saying before. The more connected you are to spirituality, the more grounded you are, the more connected you are to your soul, the easier it'll be for you to make decisions and decide what you trust and what you don't trust. Because particularly with AI, you could put anyone's face and anyone's voice on a screen and make it do whatever you want to these days. It's very, very difficult to know as the average consumer, what am I seeing? Is it real?
Right.
Is it fake? So education is obviously number one always. Getting a proper education with real facts is the most important thing, because people do have a tendency to make up their own version of reality to fill in the blanks when they do have gaps in their education. But then in addition to that, having some sort of intuitive grounding in your daily life, whether it's through a religion, a version of spirituality, just being in nature, seeing your friends in person, that I feel is going to be the advantage as we move forward in the next 20, 30 years, even 5 and 10 years.
So the next topic is Ozempic. And I have a couple of people calling in that are having good luck with that. I don't know, Calise came to me and said, I want to talk about Ozempic. And I went, okay. I've never done a psychic medium show out of the 150 shows I've done on Ozempic or dieting, but I am a big advocate of V-Shred. I lost 10 pounds on V-Shred, and it's a diet and exercise program. I didn't have enough weight to lose to go on Ozempic, although, I probably could lose another 10 pounds if I did, but there are a lot of things, I'm up there in age and it's not really for me, but some people have had great success from it, and I don't know, Calise wanted to talk about the future, so you have a choice. We can bring somebody on. You can start a psychic reading and then just discuss it, or if you can discuss it first, and then we can let Kelly go and you can read our guests. I'm going to let you.
I think we should discuss it first. It's important. Yes. No, I think it's important to acknowledge that Kelly is a medical doctor here. I'm a psychic medium. There's a very big difference. Maybe one day in the future I might get qualified as a medical doctor as well, but that's a long way off. So perhaps if we discuss it in general, I was excited to talk about this because so many people I know are on it. It's such a hot topic at the moment. It has been for the past couple of years. And there's just so much we don't know. So I thought, wow, that's a really good one as a psychic to look into, to talk about, because there is a potential huge upside and a potential huge downside, but how far do each of those extend? Kelly, you must have seen patients or seen people that are on it and had success and side effects. Is that correct?
Yes, and I have strong feelings about it. This ties right into sort of the basis of all of my thoughts about things in medicine, and certainly things, the vaccines or whatever it is that everything in medicine boils down to a risk-benefit calculation. Ozempic is one of a group of drugs called GLP-1 agonists. It's a drug that fundamentally helps to make you feel more full, so that you don't eat as much. There's no question that obesity is a tremendous problem in our society. It is the driver of probably 80% of all chronic medical conditions, including things like obesity and diabetes and kidney disease, osteoarthritis, are driven by obesity. And certainly there's an entire industry around drugs and products and programs to address obesity. My issue with it is that it is not without significant side effects, very serious side effects. So when you get to that risk-benefit calculation, if you're that person who is 100 pounds over, really risking cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and all of the things that go along with it, then that's the group of people, in my estimation, for which that drug was intended. It was not intended for the vain women who have 5 or 10 pounds to lose and say, hey, this is way easier than actually being hungry and going to the gym and cutting back and actually having only 1 glass of wine instead of 3, or foregoing, cocktails 5 days a week.
That's what cocaine is for, Kelly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or cigarette. I mean, why do you think that so many women, I hate to say it, ballet dancers and people who are very, very thin, many of them abuse things like nicotine patches or Nicorette gum, or actually smoke cigarettes, despite the fact that they are really good athletes. It's to control their weight. And so it is Wegovy and Ozempic and those drugs have the great potential to help people who have significant amount of weight to lose, because it is in that risk benefit calculation. They can take the risk of some of the severe side effects of those, including things like gastroparesis, where your entire gut shuts down and you end up needing a feeding tube, pancreatitis, lots of other serious side effects. And I think that for the rest of people who are, 10 or 15 pounds overweight or 20 pounds overweight, who really need just to develop a healthier relationship with food, a more controlled way of eating and drinking, perhaps increasing their physical activity, those aren't the people for whom I think that the risk is worth it. And I think we're going to start to see some bad side effects in people who could have really benefited just from some better diet control and increased workouts.
Kelly, I think you're psychic. Some doctors are. So.
Yeah. You're dealing with patients all day, and you have to figure out what's wrong with them when they can only articulate a certain percentage of what they're actually experiencing. So I do feel a lot of people in the medical industry have a strong intuition and a strong psychic ability, whether it's acknowledged or not. Kelly, I think it's also important to acknowledge that things like semaglutide, tirzepatide, they're often called a medicine, but it's actually a hormone that people are injecting into themselves. And I think when it's pointed out that these are hormones, we start to think of them a little differently, and we start to really acknowledge that there is a little bit of biohacking going on when you start adding and subtracting extra hormones into your body. And I think perhaps if maybe that was mentioned a little bit more, people may take more time to consider whether or not they're starting on this treatment.
No, I think it's a good point. What you're getting to is what we call informed consent. And that has been sorely lacking recently. It certainly was during the entire COVID pandemic. The idea of telling people what exactly it is. And what I've seen from the vast majority of patients who I know, and this includes friends and family members who have been prescribed Ozempic or one of that class of drugs by somebody. I have never prescribed it in my life. But the people I talk to are not aware of the serious side effects. The only bad side effects that are mentioned to them are, some people have nausea, or some people get diarrhea, so those sorts of things. People haven't explained to them, number one, that this is a hormone, that you are significantly manipulating how your body is going to metabolize, or how your brain is going to even perceive whether or not you are full. And that if you have one of these serious side effects, like pancreatitis, which is potentially fatal, by the way, or gastroparesis, which doesn't always go away, there are people who end up with a feeding tube for prolonged periods of time because their gut shuts down. They somehow manage to leave that out, just as people did not receive, I don't believe, fully informed consent or anything even resembling it.
And dangerous.
No kidding.
You can die from that, right? That's
100%. 100%. No, so I think what you're getting at, Calise, is the lack of informed consent. And again, it's the nature of humans. Everyone wants the quick fix. Everyone wants to need. I happen to enjoy working out, but I have lots of friends who would say, oh my God, if somebody would just come up with a pill that I could take every day so I could be thin and flexible and have, good muscle mass and never have to go to the gym, I would take that pill. And I certainly wish somebody would come up with,
the muscle mass is a big part
that
of
taste
it.
like the real thing.
Now that you've mentioned it, I've heard that you lose a lot of muscle on the Ozempic. Can you work out? Can you use weights and weightlift and?
Yeah, so what you see, for example, there's an entire thing now that people call Ozempic butt, which is because you lose so much, not only fat, but also muscle mass, that people's clothes just don't look that attractive. They lose weight, but they have no definition to their anymore. There's a new entity called Ozempic
too, because everything goes away.
Yeah, exactly. Where people lose too much subcutaneous fat. So again, I am not saying that it isn't appropriate for some
good way
people.
to
I'm
lose
simply
weight when
saying
you
that,
need it.
if you needed to lose 20 pounds and I recommended a stomach stapling for you and took you to the operating room and did that, I would lose
Bad
my
idea.
license.
Yeah.
I would lose my medical
I think
license.
this sounds better than
okay?
stomach
sure you would.
stapling too. It's
It
better.
sounds better, and guess who's making a lot of money on it? The pharmaceutical companies. Okay, big pharma's
Yeah,
making
that's
huge money on this. They are not being forthwith about the potential complications.
Right,
And
there's
it
no
is no
informed
different.
consent.
There's no informed
Shocking.
consent, and it's not an appropriate intervention for somebody who's got a relatively small amount of weight to lose. That's it. That's my
okay.
psychic
Okay,
reading.
I didn't
So
want to cut you off.
I'll let you take it, Calise. You can have the final
Yeah,
word, and then we'll bring on.
Of course, I tuned in because I was just really curious and wanted to see what the future held. Because, as I said, I've seen people have so much, like, it's just transformed their lives, some of the people that have taken it that I know, and it's brought back a lot of the joy that they had lost just, for other reasons. I wanted to really see, like, okay, what's the deal here? What's going on? And I know that surgery keeps coming up as a more popular option with a lot of weight loss clinics. And, it's important to acknowledge what Dr. Kelly was saying, that there's a situation where you may be considered obese or morbidly obese versus just overweight. And those are two very different types of patients that require very different types of treatment. My friends who are taking it fall into both categories. Some of them are taking it because they want to look good, and some of them are taking it because they actually medically need to. And both of them are having side effects, and both of them are having weight loss. So I do want to just start by saying it seems like a very personal decision. Everybody's going to react to it differently in terms of side effects. And what's being popularly thrown around is that there's drugs that have side effects, and then there's drugs that don't work. So, I looked into the future of this and I saw so many things. I'll try and just give you a brief rundown. There were no limbs falling off, nothing too crazy, no one growing a second pair of ears or anything fun like that. Yeah, but it did look like there would be a big change in the way that it's administered to patients, that it would become somewhat more of an oral dosage, possibly a pill or a solution that one would drink, and it felt like it was more frequent. So it could be a daily dose or something that's a little bit more accessible. I did see much more milder versions coming onto the market in the next 5 to 10 years, particularly even over-the-counter options. So, it does make me wonder if this will be something that is pushed onto children or people that just, are taking it for reasons other than medical necessity. I do see, in terms of society as a whole, that there's a big push towards an exercise era, a fitness era, in combination with the weight loss drugs, but also in rebellion to the weight loss drugs, that the fitness industry is going to go through a massive boom. And it felt like the kind of thing we saw in the 80s where everyone's, Jane Fonda, let's get physical. So I feel that that's going to come up again in about 2026 and, the next few years. But there is I saw 2 to 3 years of a main rush to the market with Ozempic and then a shift in the dosage. So what I felt from what I saw was that if you want to use it for weight loss and you want to just dive in there and take advantage and take the risk, this is your chance, because it's going to become a lot more regulated as time goes on.
It'll be harder to get.
I do feel
find
that,
the outcome and they start the lawsuits. Yeah, Kelly knows about that. So
I asked directly
so go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I asked Spirit directly if it does raise cancer profiles, because I know thyroid cancer is a huge concern among, a lot of the people taking it. And the response I got from Spirit was that it's a net benefit, which I can only imagine is in contrast to a cancer profile. If you already are obese or overweight, that it would net benefit your profile by bringing your risk lower.
Yeah. Obesity is a disease.
I certainly hope that you are right with regard to your prediction that we move back to more of a fitness phase. I think that helps people in so many ways beyond weight management. It is one of the single best things we can do for our heads, for mental health. It helps people, again, to reconnect. People tend to put down their social media when they're exercising. That's a good news. It's hard to be on Facebook while you're doing jujitsu or shadow boxing or whatever it is you choose to do.
I love my V-shred, everybody. I'm going to tell you.
But at least
I'm back in shape. And I've been doing it for a year and with lifting weights.
And so during that period,
so good.
Yeah. No, and I am, as you know, I am a workout fiend. I lift regularly.
She's in great shape.
And I'll tell you, you can't be on Facebook or Twitter or any of those things while you're actually working out. Or I should say, it's tough. So if nothing else, I think moving back towards that, being more active, getting up, being less reliant on social media.
Well, do it. You can take the Ozempic and work out, right? Like, can't you
100%. Sure,
do everything?
100%.
Lose the weight
100%.
and then taper off and build muscle and, do that kind of thing.
One of the problems with all weight loss medications, Susan, and this is one of my gripes about it, is that as soon as people stop taking it, they tend to gain the weight back, because the only way you're going to have long-term lasting results is if you change your relationship with food, if you change the way that you eat, and in many ways, different for each person. But so unless you are taking the Ozempic and at the same time learning how to eat differently, working with a nutritionist or a dietitian or a psychologist or whatever it is that you need to change how it is that you got there in the first place, then I fear that when you stop the medication, it's simply going to return. And so it's really about...
and then you have to back at square one.
Yeah, you're back at square one.
So I'm going to probably let Kelly go, because I don't know if she wants to listen to a psychic reading, but I
would love to, but I've got a bunch going on, so I've got to jump off.
I know you do, and thank you so much for your time. It's been so educational, and we love you. You can find her book, Toxic Shot, on Amazon. We did actually find it there today, Kelly, so you can buy it there. And she's also she's going to be around, so we'll see you again soon. Find her at Dr. Kelly Victory on Twitter. If you have any comments or if you have any questions, she's always there.
Thanks. Talk soon, Susan. Nice to meet you.
Love you.
Nice to meet you, Kelly.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're going to bring in a guest. We have a surprise guest. Caleb's going to bring in our special celebrity guest.
Oh, the celebrity. Here we go. Hello,
Welcome to
Shana.
Calling Out. You're here
Shana.
with
Hey
Calise,
guys,
Simone.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, Shana.
Awesome. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is Kalise Simone. I'm the psychic medium that I think is going to be reading for you. Is that?
Oh, awesome. Okay,
Yeah,
great. I was just listening to you guys talk about Ozempic, and I was fascinated.
I know there's so much more to say, but with the limited time we have per show, we just say what we can say. Shana, let's do a psychic reading.
Okay, I'm so excited.
Okay, I'm going to open the energy, and when I read for people, I see, I feel, I hear, I sense. I'm just going to tell you what I'm getting. If it makes sense, you can just say yes. You can give us context if you want, but I don't need it as a reader. It's just fun for the people who are listening to and watching the show. And
great.
then, if you have questions after, you can ask questions if we have time. But let's just see what's going on and see what comes up around you.
Sure.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to tune in here. And Shana, I'm being shown that you are a shining star, that there's something a little bit special about your spirit that may have started when you were about 3 years old. So, people might have in your family said, oh, you're going to be special. Or I just see you as a little girl looking to your family as the entertainer, as the person in the spotlight, always having this bright personality from a young age. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, the reason this comes through is because there's a message attached to it that at no point in life are you meant to be a wallflower. So if you've ever felt like that you wanted to just take a break or you wanted to step back, maybe this career in the spotlight wasn't for you, I just keep hearing, don't be the wallflower, you need to be the wall. You need to be the entire wall in the entire house, taking up the entire space, okay? Be bold,
Oh, I
be
love that.
yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't let other people sort of decide who you are. You can decide who you are. And as these messages are coming through, there is a woman in the spirit world who taps me on the shoulder and wants to be remembered. She said she wants to be remembered by her maiden name. So would you understand a grandmother who possibly would have liked to have had more independence before she passed? Because she does look a bit older, this woman.
Yeah, I mean, I just lost my mom, and I do have grandmothers on the other side as well, and my sister.
Okay, well, let's have a look here. The woman that's coming through is particularly showing me issues with her vision. So it would have either been hard to open her eyes or she had very blurry vision before she passed. Does that help narrow it down for you?
No, I'm not sure.
That's okay. I'm also hearing that she was a mother of more than one, that there were multiple children, and that it would have been a hard loss and a quick transition. So
It was my mother.
It was your mother? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's tune in a little bit further. So with the vision, would you understand that your mother would have been sleeping a lot or lying down a lot before she passed? Because I just feel like I can't open my eyes. There's something about the vision that keeps being blocked here.
She had like a major heart attack, and I think she transitioned like she died in like a minute. She just like up and died,
Okay.
and I think like she stood up, and I think they said that she just was like, I can't breathe. I don't think she could see well, and I don't think she could breathe, and she just like died instantaneously.
I'm sorry to hear that. It could very well make sense because I understand that when, cardiovascular issues are going on, you sort of get a bit of blurry vision. So that might be what I'm picking up here with the not being able to see, feeling like I can't open my eyes very well. But the quick passing, the quick transition does make sense for this spirit. Would you understand that even though she passed what we would consider to be before her time, that she was older? Because I just don't feel like this woman is in her
she was
30s.
77.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So she's tapping me on the shoulder and she's the one who wants to be remembered by her maiden name. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, it does, because she would always tell me, my mother and father were married for 53 years, but they had a very traditional relationship where, my dad, kind of was the breadwinner and my mom was the homemaker. And she would always tell me, like, never rely on a man, like never make it so you don't have your own money. Always have your own money, always have your own thing going on. And, and I know that used to bother her, that she had kind of like get an allowance from her husband. So she always told me, don't do that. Yeah.
Yes, she's still very much of that energy. And I do feel that she loves your hair. So whatever's going on with your hair, she absolutely loves it. She said, please do more of that.
I took my extensions out. I don't want to.
Well, she loves it. Maybe that's more her style. But I do also feel like you're coming up to this big crossroads in your career. And I keep wanting to like grip my stomach. So I don't know if this is causing you like nausea with this, but I feel like I want to grip my stomach and just be like, oh my God, I just really don't know what to do. And sometimes when we go through grief, that can just be a feeling that we wake up with because there's so much change that we go into a little bit of shock.
Sure.
So it could very well be that. But she wants you to know that in terms of your career, you're exactly on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing, even if people criticize you for it, even if they say it's not what you're meant to be doing, you're too young for that, you're too old for that, whatever it is they're saying. She keeps saying, no, you know your path. It's a very straight shot. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's something that really resonates with me because it's something I've really been thinking about. And I'm getting a little bit older and I'm in Hollywood and I'm just kind of like, is my career over? Should I still try to act or should I do more like producing? And so I kind of have had all those thoughts in my head. So that really resonates with me.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't feel you're ready to produce. I do feel you can do it and I feel you can do it in your sleep, but I feel that your mom would be disappointed if you stepped back from being the main part of the show. At the very least, you could host or you could MC, but I feel as though you need to keep acting and you need to keep pushing your marketability because she keeps showing me that there's a market for you. And I don't feel like it's very business-minded, but she keeps saying there's a fan base, there's a market for you. She said, you can sing and dance, but that's not what you're known for. And she said, you are my main event. And so you'll be the main event for others. And she said, you can tell stories so well. You're a natural born storyteller. So keep moving forward with the stories.
Okay, awesome. I love that. That's very powerful for me. So yeah, that hits home.
Okay, good.
Oh,
I'm glad
good.
to
I'm
hear
so
it.
glad.
I just wanted to quickly let you know, I do feel your sister is there as well with her. And you mentioned that she's in spirit. I keep seeing a slow slipping away of energy around her. Would you understand that in terms of her passing, that it was more
Yeah,
of
she died of lung cancer and it was very long and slow.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it's more of a difficult transition into spirit world. That does make sense. She has been by your side since day one, is what I'm being shown. And I feel your sister is working with you as your guardian angel. Keep an eye out for things like birds, feathers, nature, angel symbols.
Yeah, I get dragonflies and butterflies, and her big thing was butterflies, and I see giant ones in my backyard like all the time.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yes, she's very much around you and just making sure that you stay protected. She keeps putting her hands on your heart chakra and just sending a lot of love to you. She said, you know what I mean. And she's sending this beautiful pink energy into your heart chakra. And she wants you to just really get back that emotional strength that you had as a teenager. She specifically points to ages 17 to 19 and says, that's when you shined and outshined everyone. Keep being that woman.
Oh, I love that. And that's very true.
She said she's not going to go on vacation.
That's when I started modeling and I became Miss USA when I was 19.
Oh, congrats. Okay, so that's the energy you have to channel with everything you do. It's just like get back into that Miss USA mindset and just bring that into all of your projects.
Okay, I love that. Okay.
Awesome. She's not going to come on vacation with you, but she wants you to take a vacation.
I've been trying to plan one for so long.
I've
You
seen
don't
beaches,
understand.
go to Hawaii, live it up. Okay,
Yes,
no more
yes,
messing
I
around.
want
She's
to.
like, this is your moment.
She
I
won't watch
actually
you when you're
feel-
having sex.
Yeah.
What?
I feel that you're either going to have an epiphany on vacation or you're going to meet someone that you network with that will help further your career. And it's something about taking a break, taking 10 steps backwards to take 100 steps forward kind of thing, you know? So there's something about the vacation that's going to help further your career.
Okay, awesome. I love that.
Oh, that's
Fantastic.
Furthering your career and vacation is never a bad thing.
It's probably going to be Vegas.
Exactly.
Right? My luck.
Is there
So,
anything specific you wanted to ask? Oh, sorry, Susan.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Susan, you go.
We have one more guest, so we need to wrap it up.
Oh, okay. I just have one quick question. I met a guy and I'm madly in love, and I just wanted to see if you saw me getting married again one day.
Okay, I feel in terms of marriage that there's two opportunities for you. So hold your breath. How many times have you been married?
Once.
Thank goodness for that, because then, yes, there is another marriage on the horizon. And I feel that I just keep hearing the term matchmaker around this. So I would say if you didn't use a friend that was a matchmaker, there's a spirit that's a matchmaker that's bringing the two of you together. I feel he's someone that's not traditionally your type, but is exactly what you need and exactly who spirit needs you to be with, this second husband. The man you're with at the moment is bringing a lot of light into your life and has the most stable energy I have seen in all the partners around you. So I am a big fan of his. I do feel that you should keep getting to know him. And it's so funny, your mom said there's plenty of money in the bank this time around. So if the last husband didn't bring money to the table, this one certainly will.
Yes, that is very true.
There's a man in your future that will treat you like a princess and basically give you the life that you may have dreamed of, but your mother never had, is what keeps coming through.
Wow, okay.
It'll be a beautiful marriage, and it feels as though it's there's a lot more determination to make it work. So I hope that answers your question. I just wanted to wrap it up quickly for Susan.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know you guys have to get going, so I just wanted to say thank you so much. What a beautiful gift to have today, and thank you for sharing your time and energy. You were super spot on with me, so thank you. And Susan, what a awesome opportunity to be on your show again. I absolutely love and adore you, so thank you.
Thank you. A little
Shana.
synopsis of Shana. She's an American actress, model, beauty pageant title. What? Drew's pointing to Shana Lynn Mokler. Okay. Somebody took that off Wikipedia, it looks like. beauty pageant title holder. She has appeared for 2 seasons on USA Network television series Pacific Blue. Remember that? And her own reality television series Meet the Barkers. And she also hosted E's Bridal Plasty during its 2-month run. And then in January 2014, it was announced that Moakler joined the cast of Hollywood Exes. Remember that one? Oh, yeah, that was a good one. So she is known for producing the Miss Nevada USA pageant since 2012, which I actually got to be a judge for. That was so fun. And beautiful women.
That.
Oh, yes, anytime. And acquired the Miss Utah USA franchise in 2018. You can find her at ShaynaMoakler.com, and hopefully you'll be able to get her on her Facebook page again if it ever gets unhacked. So that's how I ran into her this week because
I'm hearing that was not a mistake.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh, good.
No, her page was hacked for a reason, so trust the process on this one.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't feel good though. Mine was hacked once and it was terrible for a month. I was very upset. Somebody was trying to steal money from people inside of it. But anyway, Shayna, thank you for coming on very last minute and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Have a fantastic rest of your show and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you. All right, so
Bye-bye.
One more caller. We have Allie, I do believe.
Mia.
Oh, Mia, sorry. Beg your pardon. She has, I want to get some specific questions from her for you. Hi, Mia, how are you? Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Do you have some specific questions for Calise that you'd like to address?
Not particularly, just whatever she feels, I'm open.
Okay.
Of course,
right.
yeah. Hi, Mia, and thank you so much for being patient. I do feel that in terms of love, and this is such a big message to start off the reading and the connection here, but I keep hearing that this is your biggest year yet. And I feel that you've had a lot of really tough years, hardworking years, and that this is the year where things turn a corner for you, particularly in the middle of the year. So hopefully you've already started to experience that, particularly in terms of money and business. I'm being shown that 2025 is a year where you finally feel like you can relax in your life and in the trajectory of where things are going. I do feel that it's important that you take care of others in this life and that you'll receive the biggest lessons and the biggest learnings from mentoring. So anything where you can be in a motherly role, a mentoring role, a caring role, that's where you're going to feel the most fulfilled. And it may not be what on paper people consider to be successful in this day and age, but as we all know who have done those roles, it is one of the most gratifying things you can do. I'm being shown that you have a natural business entrepreneurial spirit within you and that has to be taken care of. You have to go out there and do business in this life. And if you're already doing business, do more. You have a very strong spirit. You see things very clearly. You're an excellent decision maker and you have the ability to move very quickly with successful ideas. I'm being asked by Spirit to suggest that you reconnect to a form of spirituality that you may have pushed away for a very long time. So would you recognize growing up with religion and then sort of casting it to the side for a really long time and then slowly being less rebellious about it as you get older?
Yeah, absolutely. I did. I started off in a Catholic school. And then when I moved, I had parents were divorced. So I moved with my mother and then I turned into Christian background because all my friends went to the specific church. So I belonged with them. And then I just kept going with that until I'd say pandemic is what separated me from church. And they weren't really doing online services or anything like that. But I have been recently getting back into spirituality again and at least going to church online and reading again.
It's very interesting because whether it's church or whether it's just your own version of spirituality, I do see that you're going to get a large amount of mental clarity from that. I'm actually seeing you in a room with people doing a Buddhist meditation. So I was like, wow, this is different. And that's going to be one of the things that just helps you really clear your energy and really clear your mind. In terms of love, I get very stable energy in your life. So if you're looking to change partnerships or do anything dramatic, you'll have to change your energy around that, because otherwise it just feels very calm and very consistent. Does that make sense to you?
I'm not sure what you mean. Like, not have
Okay. So I'm being shown that marriage is something that's like really far away from you. So either you have been married or your marriage is just not a big deal in your life. Do you understand that?
Yes. I was in long-term relationships, and they were both in the music business. I don't even want to say who they were.
That's okay.
But
I can relate.
yeah,
Okay.
my life centered around their life a lot because they were the performer. And even though I was into acting, I put everything I wanted to do aside just to revolve around that. But both relationships were over 10 years and never turned into marriage for reasons, infidelity and stuff. So I just haven't met the right person that I feel I could trust to take that leap, let alone meet anybody now.
I'm going to be very blunt that it's not in your aura now. And so we have to bring that into your aura to make it a thing. So let's, bring a lot of love in and, get in touch with that feminine, sexy side. But I definitely feel that this is a chapter of your life when making money is the priority, and business and money and career is at the forefront of your energy now. So it's like, really live it up. This is a time of dragon energy and feng shui. So, in sort of Chinese zodiac, this is a time when women shine, when small entrepreneurs shine, when business really takes off. And if you lean into that energy, then I feel like you'll look back on this period with a very happy perspective. I don't feel that you have missed out on love though. Like, I still feel it's there if you want it, but it's going to be more of a priority after 2026. And at that time, I would say, look, if you really haven't met someone special, go for a matchmaker, go on dating apps, really just make that the focus of your life. Because I feel right now, even if you leaned into it, it wouldn't come up. But if you really do feel that having another long-term relationship is important after 2026, make that the plan.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it right now anyways, because it's the first time I've taken ownership of my own life. Like, I just turned 60 and I, let the hair go gray, and I was on social media.
Looks good.
So thank you.
Yeah,
so
you definitely don't look 60. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Oh, thank you. So an agency.
Well, she's doing something. I know. I wanted to.
Oh, yes, I am.
See.
I am.
You can tell him.
I am on a GLP-1 medicine. It's medicine therapy. I first of all want to say that I was literally over 200 pounds, and my agent still signed me on and told me, Mia, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter your size, but there was just still something missing within me because I didn't look like myself anymore. Like, I felt like another person. And my friend, she turned me on to GLP medicine, and I looked into it, and I've been doing it for 3 months. I've dropped 25.5 pounds. I started off with the compound semaglutide, and I lost weight pretty quickly, and I was starting to lose muscle mass. So I said, okay, I want to slow down. So I felt like I took charge of that, and I'm now taking the Semilorian. I don't know if I said it right, but to hold on to the muscle mass in conjunction with that. But I feel like I'm getting a part of me that's been missing for a long time, that I feel like she's coming back. And I've just booked 2 national commercials in the last 6 months. And I feel like that part of me is coming back, that young girl that, had to give it up to be a mom. And, so but my daughter's like proud of me. She's like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. You're finally doing what you want to do, and, that's my cheering section. I do at least have 2 daughters out of my relationship. And that was a blessing.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I feel like the semaglutide, and now I've switched to tirzepatide, which is working a lot better for me. My weight loss has slowed down, so I'm able to change my lifestyle as far as my eating. I'm feeling more energetic now to work out or walk now, where I wasn't before. So that has all been really positive for me. And I went to the doctor to get my blood work done because I'm working in conjunction with my doctor. And she was almost sounding like she was a little upset that my cholesterol went down. It was like 315 and it went down to 246 in May.
Nice.
So it's going down. So these are all positive. All my other levels are doing really well. but I am still at risk, for heart attack, cardiovascular. So she said, let's just keep doing what we're doing and keep it positive, and we'll check it again next month and see if it's still going down, because I'm at that number where they want to put me on cholesterol medicine, and I'm not doing it. I've weighed out the side effects of that versus what I'm doing, and that was far greater. So, and I'm feeling great again. This is something that I've not felt in a while. And like I said, I'm reinventing myself, got back into acting, and here I am.
Good. You seem happy. Good.
It makes so much sense that Spirit's saying this is your time to make money, because your money is based on your appearance, because you're in acting, you're in Hollywood. So it would make sense for you that at least the next 2 years to just go hard and book those events, book those gigs, book those commercials, and just enjoy your life.
Yes, I hope so.
Congratulations.
That is my goal.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to let you go. And where can we find you if anybody wants to follow you?
Oh, goodness, I'm going to be embarrassed now. Well, I'm a TikToker, and that's where it started out. I go by the name of CEO of Cougar Town.
Good for you.
It blew up, and it got me seen. So what the heck? I just supervise.
All right, well, okay, well, she's single, everybody. So anyway, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate.
Oh yeah, thank you. I was going to see if anything came through for my mom, but I guess she didn't have anything to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're kind of running out of time.
Next time when we have more time.
Yeah, Caleb's got 2 little ones he's got to put to bed. But thank you so much. And
did you say CEO of Cougar Town?
I did.
Okay, good. I put that as your bio on the show, so there we go.
All right, thank you. Whoa. I'm a TikTok.
You're as young as you feel, girl. You go for it.
That's what I've been talking about. It's all about my age on my TikTok. That's what it is.
Losing 25 pounds is not easy.
Yeah, I just put it out there. Like, who said I can't dance on TikTok? Who said I have to date people my age? I can do whatever I want, younger, older, whatever I want to do. I'm just owning my life, and it's my turn this time. So thank you, Calise.
You go, girl. That's it. Awesome.
It is my time.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
So we had a question on Rumble for Calise. Can the spirit leave the body before officially passing to visit their loved ones in their dreams?
Yes, absolutely. Do you want more detail, or just are we doing fire round questions, or are we doing detailed questions?
That was the only question I got. Everybody else is just like sort of confused what the show is.
That's all right. We don't know. Can spirit leave the body before officially passing to visit their loved ones in their dreams? I almost feel like there's 4 questions in here. So basically, the spirit can leave the body anytime while you're still alive to go and visit the spirit world and then come back. But we don't actually sever the connection to the physical body until it's time to pass. And even then, we can sever that connection and pass before our physical body stops functioning. So there's a lot of, even with near-death experiences, but there's a lot of reports of people who are in the spirit world that come back in mediumship and say, oh yeah, I saw them trying to perform CPR on me. I felt like I was watching from the ceiling or from the next room. So the spirit generally does leave. And I believe that that's to avoid feeling any pain at the time of death, because a lot of the time when we pass, it is pretty painful unless we're on some kind of medicine to mask that. So, I do feel a lot of the time that that's actually what happens, that we leave before we pass.
Thank you. Good answer. And you got a little thank you from Jane Nardi on Rumble. And thanks everyone for following. We really appreciate you watching the show today. If you want to get a psychic reading from Calise, you can find her at CaliseSimone.com. And she's also doing a workshop. Do you want to tell everybody about your workshop coming up on August 14th?
Yeah, sure. If you want to join, it's completely free, and it's called the Affirmations Bootcamp. So it is an introduction to manifestation. And maybe if you've tried manifesting before and you just couldn't get your head around it, or maybe you just want to learn some more tips and tricks, you can join me, and you can sign up on my website. It's just CaliseSimone.com, and you go to the events tab.
So it's virtual.
Yeah, it's virtual. It's on Zoom. So you can be anywhere at any time in any time zone.
Oh, good.
It's going to be
that sounds great.
Sort of this
We all need to
time of day.
manifest something good for the future.
Yeah, exactly.
the world
this
is
the time
these
to get in
days,
touch
so-
with positive vibes.
So, yeah, and also, is there anything else I have to say, Drew? Producer Drew?
Next show.
Okay.
Yeah, remind
next
people the next show is
show.
coming
Oh,
up
yeah.
August 1st at 3 p.m. Pacific.
That's next week, right?
Yeah, 1 week from
I
now.
poop out at the end.
Have you figured out what that show's about?
Okay, the next show
I think that's
is
the
on August 1st.
transhumanism expert, I believe.
No,
if I remember.
no.
That's not.
We're
oh,
gonna
okay.
have a comedian by the name of Zhao Ying.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
She's
the
gonna be-
funniest. Oh, you guys are in for a treat.
She's gonna
Funniest.
meet Psychic Rebel
She's
Colby. I don't know. Maybe we'll bring Calise too. I don't know. Then the next week is going to be a guy named.
I want Calise to tell me if she's a communist operative for the Chinese government. I'm increasingly
Zhao Ying.
convinced.
Oh my God, I would not
Yeah.
be surprised. I think she's even admitted it herself several times on social media. We wouldn't even have to
I
ask.
accused her of it, and she said, "Yep, I am." I went, "Okay, well, that's hiding in plain sight. Way to go."
Exactly.
She's still my friend.
I would love to read for her, but I don't want to stand on your production schedule.
Yeah, and also on the 8th, we're going to have Rebecca Fearing back. She wants to talk about the metaverse and transhumanism. We have a transhumanism expert coming in to do that show.
Is Zhao Yun coming into the home studio?
Yeah, we're going to have Zhao Ying in person, so you'll
Okay.
get to see her again in all her loveliness.
Oh boy.
I think she was like
Really
a
likes
Miss
her.
China or something at some point. She's a big
Yes,
famous
yes.
beauty.
We have all these beauty queens.
Yeah.
We should probably bring
Yes, she
Shayna
was.
Moakler in with her at the same time.
Oh, that'd be
Kinda
fun.
huh? I bet they
Well,
like each other.
Calise was telling you that there's something going on with, or was it Calise? I think you were one that said it. There's something going on with Shayna, that the connection through Facebook was meaningful, not just for this,
Yeah.
but like bigger meaningful.
Yeah, because I haven't talked to Shayna in a really long time. She was on my show several times over the years on Calling Out with Susan Pinsky. I also, was a judge at her Miss Nevada pageant, which she still does. I don't know if I did a very good job because she didn't have me come back, but I don't know. I'd do it again. And she's been a friend for a long time. But I also saw that she was hacked on Facebook. And
You two could probably do a great product line of something.
Yeah, I
you know.
also got hacked on
Calise, tell me that's not true.
Hopefully I'll get her out of that. So
There's always
I called her.
a
I said, I think I know
business in
somebody can
everything.
do it. And she was like, okay.
Right.
help
That's
me.
what it feels like to me.
So with any luck, it happened. But you know what? Here's the other thing. When you lose Facebook and you get it back, you appreciate it more. So, but it
You
has
do.
to be
You also
good used.
realize how damaging it can be when you get a little addicted to it. So perhaps there's something in that too.
Yeah, I had a bunch of people inside of it trying to taking other people's Facebook inside my page and locking them out and stealing money from them. So I had to erase like
that's
12
terrible.
or 15 other people's pages to get them off of mine before I could report it to Facebook because they were going to think that I was the hacker. But that was a bad experience. So anyways, we reconnected because of Facebook. It was for a reason. I get to see Shayna Moakler again, and I like her. But also thank you to Mia for her opening up her life, and also to Dr. Kelly for coming on and giving us her expertise, as well as Andrew Anderson. I appreciated his ability to connect and be candid. So hopefully we'll find out more of this in the future. And Calise, keep predicting. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Are you signing out?
Sailer